Hi, and welcome to Be Your Own Hero. You ever wondered why it's so hard to trust yourself, to show up for your own needs, or to feel secure when you're on your own? Most of us think that attachment styles only apply to our romantic relationships. But here's the thing, your attachment style also shapes the way you treat yourself. In this video, I'm going to look at how attachment styles, whether secure, anxious, avoidant, or disorganized, affect your relationship with yourself and what you can do to build a healthier, more loving connection within. So let's dive in. First, let's get clear on what attachment styles are. Attachment styles are patterns of behavior, beliefs, and emotional responses that developed in early childhood based on how your caregivers responded to your needs. Over time, these patterns influence how we relate to others and to ourselves. So here's a quick breakdown. If you have a secure attachment, you generally feel safe, feel confident, and you're able to trust yourself and others. If you have an anxious attachment, you may struggle with self-doubt, often seeking validation from others to feel worthy. With avoidant attachment, you value independence to the point of pushing others away and potentially avoiding your own emotions and needs. With the disorganized attachment, you experience very conflicting emotions. You're wanting connection, but also fearing it, leading to a lot of inner confusion. This attachment style is quite extreme. It's usually developed from severe trauma, abuse, and neglect in childhood. So why attachment styles matter? Your attachment style doesn't just affect how you love others, it affects how you love yourself. It impacts your self-talk, your ability to meet your own needs, and it affects how you handle challenges. So let's start with anxious attachment. If you have an anxious attachment, you may feel unsure of yourself and be constantly seeking approval from others to feel okay about this. You might be highly self-critical and you worry about being good enough. And things and people who trigger a feeling that you're not good enough can feel highly triggering and aversive. Now, how this affects your relationship with yourself is that it means you really overthink decisions. You probably second guess yourself a lot, and you rely on others' opinions instead of trusting your instincts. Usually in the end, you find that your instincts were right. You just didn't trust them in the beginning. So you might tend to struggle validating your own feelings. You look for somebody else to tell you that you're worthy or lovable. What you need to do to develop your secure attachment in this case is to practice self-validation. Instead of asking others, what do you think? Do you think this is okay? Should I do this? Trust your own self. Say it's okay because I say it's okay. Obviously, you need to accept the consequences. That's okay as well. It's okay to make mistakes. And you've probably already proven to yourself time and time again that your instincts were right anyway. So start practicing self-validation and start building trust in yourself. You can build trust by acknowledging the times that you did get right. So that means celebrating your wins. And one exercise that can really help is to write a letter to yourself as if you're comforting a close friend. Remind yourself that your feelings are valid. Probably say things like, why is this so hard? This is easy. It shouldn't be so hard for me. Try to get rid of that word should out of your vocabulary forever. Okay, now let's look at avoidant attachment. If you have an avoidant attachment, you likely value independence so much that you push others away and you push your own needs away, your own feelings, and even sometimes your own desires. You might avoid acknowledging discomfort and you'll even tell yourself, I don't need anyone. When the truth is, everyone needs and wants connection deep down. So how this affects your relationship with yourself is that you often disconnect from your emotions. You might ignore when you're feeling sad, overwhelmed, or needing care. A common one is anger. People with avoidant attachment might deny their own anger. And this is sometimes because in childhood, only certain emotions were allowed. So for example, in a family where only the parents are allowed to be angry, kids are not allowed to be angry, then you might grow into an adult who denies their own anger, finds it difficult to be angry at people. and often you'll turn that towards yourself. So with an avoidant attachment, you'll typically avoid vulnerability, even with yourself. So you don't acknowledge your own vulnerability. And this makes it truly hard to understand what you even need or want. So what to do to help this situation is you need to reconnect with your needs. Ask yourself daily, what do I need right now? Even if it feels uncomfortable, especially if you're finding yourself being frustrated at yourself or upset at yourself, rather than having really high expectations, rather than getting frustrated, ask yourself, what do I need right now? Maybe you need a break. Maybe you need some connection. Maybe you need some kind words. And then try to give yourself those things. So practice self-care as a habit. Make a list of activities that really nurture you, like resting or journaling. You might like to do art. You might hike. You might just love spending time with your animals. Commit to doing one of these things every day. And then start slowly allowing yourself some vulnerability. Let yourself feel one emotion fully, without judgment. Remind yourself it's safe to feel. So if you feel angry, just take a moment, few minutes, 5 minutes, whatever, and feel that anger fully. You don't have to do anything about it. Just feel it and process it. And then you can let it go or do whatever you should. So self-care is not weakness. It's showing up for yourself. It's how we learn to trust ourselves. Okay, so for those with a disorganized attachment, the relationship with yourself can really feel like a tug of war. You want connection, but you fear rejection or not being good enough. You might feel really chaotic inside, unsure about how to soothe yourself or to meet your own needs. And this has come from parents who didn't know how to soothe you either. And oftentimes your needs were met with inappropriate emotions like anger or frustration. Imagine a baby who cries out of hunger and their caregiver meets them with extreme anger. This will have taught you that your needs are not appropriate and not acceptable, which is not true, but it's what you internalized at the time. It's what you were taught as a baby. So how this affects your relationship with yourself is that you will alternate between self-criticism and avoidance, making it hard to feel at peace. And then often the self-criticism feels unbearable. So you lash out at others or try to numb yourself in other ways. And you struggle to trust your inner voice because it feels so conflicted. So what to do in this case? Try to practice mindfulness to begin with. Use grounding exercises like deep breathing to calm that inner chaos and try to connect with the present moment and find some clarity. Another thing is to learn to name your feelings. One of the things you weren't taught as a baby is how to differentiate between emotions. It might seem like everything is just frustration and anger, and you expect that others won't find your needs appropriate or acceptable, so you don't find them acceptable in yourself. So try to learn how to name your feelings. You need to teach yourself that there's a range of emotions, not only anger, not only frustration, not only rejection. There's a lot more. So instead of ignoring confusion, for example, say out loud, I feel scared right now, or I feel overwhelmed. But that's okay. So it's also important to seek support. So if you have a disorganized attachment, seeking support is a really important step. Working with a therapist or coach can really help you to untangle those patterns and create a stronger sense of self. So remember, healing is a journey. Every small step matters. So the good news is that you can develop a secure attachment with yourself, no matter what your attachment style is now. So what does a secure attachment look like? If you have a secure attachment, you will trust yourself, and you'll trust yourself to handle challenges. You're genuinely kind to yourself, even when you make mistakes. And you'll meet your own needs while also allowing space for connection with others. So how to start developing a secure attachment for your own self? You need to begin by practicing self-compassion. Treat yourself the way that you would treat a really good friend. When you struggle, ask yourself, how can I support myself right now? So rather than getting angry and frustrated and calling yourselves all the terrible names, ask, how can I support myself right now? What do I need? What do I need for support? What do I need for my growth? Okay, and this is how you build self-trust. So to build self-trust, follow through on small promises that you make to yourself. You really need to learn how to rely on yourself. Start with something really easy and small. So maybe you want to drink more water. So commit to drinking 1 extra glass of water per day. If you want to be a bit more active, commit to taking a 10-minute walk every day. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, you build self-trust, which is really important. Next is to set healthy boundaries. You need to respect your time, your energy, and your emotions. Learn to say no to things that don't serve you and yes to the things that nurture you. For example, imagine how different it will feel when you can rely on yourself, like a steady, loyal companion who always has your back. You don't have to rely on others because you know that you know what's best for you. So here's what I want you to remember. While your attachment style was shaped in the past, it doesn't have to define your future. You have the power to build a secure and loving relationship with yourself, one that's rooted in trust, kindness, and self-awareness. So here's your challenge for this week. Reflect on your attachment style and ask yourself, how does this show up in the way I treat myself? Share one insight or step that you're taking in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you. And if this video brought you some clarity, give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and share it with someone who needs to hear this message. Remember, the most important relationship is the one that you'll have with yourself. Start treating yourself with the love and care that you deserve. I know you can do it. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.